Welcome everybody to another episode of the Dragoncast, episode 50. And I'm back once again with my podcast partner in crime, Victor Salazar. And we are back from a 2-week break, holiday break. And it feels good to be back, kind of just getting back in the swing of doing a podcast again. I don't know about you, Victor, but my microphone's been awfully lonely the last couple of weeks, man.
Yeah, tell me about it. Not even that, man. My snooze button was like playing tricks on me this morning. I almost missed my 6 o'clock time, dude. I'm like, oh man, it's 5:55. Brian's over here messaging me saying, dude, I'm ready. Like, oh
Well,
crap,
yeah,
I'm still in bed. So I gotta get up. So I gotta get up.
Right,
so you
right.
doing video? Yeah, let me get my
Yeah.
hair ready. Oh, which by the way, the hair.
I
is
know, I
done
was going
now,
to say,
so-
you gotta somebody
so
got
I
a
gotta-
haircut.
I got a new look here.
Hey,
but
man,
but yeah,
hey, man,
I
you're not the
feel-
only one. Hey man,
there
we
we go,
all
huh?
came back with haircuts, so we're
Hey,
good.
you guys came back with haircuts. I got more than I can deal with.
I know, right? Speaking of, we got a very special guest with us here on our 50th episode of this show. So you guys will recall, many weeks ago we did a Dragoncast reunion with our old buddy Andrew Denman, who was our first co-host of this show many years ago. And we are back once again today with another of our former co-hosts. I'm going to welcome Kona Sankey to the show. Welcome back to the Dragoncast. It's great to have you here.
It's been so long, way too long.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
been. It's great to see you, Kona. What you been up to recently? These past couple of years,
Oh,
How you been?
few years. It's been a bunch of things. I've gone through a couple small business ventures. I spent a couple years baking.
Love
that
baking.
was fun.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then I've spent the last little bit here focusing more on my art and kind of moving myself into, I guess, a practice between art and wellness, kind of bringing those together. And of course, right now with COVID, I think it ended up being perfect timing that I set myself up for that. So
Oh,
it's really
nice.
exciting.
That's awesome. Can you speak a little bit more about that, about the wellness thing? Like,
Yeah.
how's that going? How's that working?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's know.
So, for the sake of things, I mean, art has always been the thing I've come back to. I mean, I spent a couple years baking, but really in the end, it came down to I didn't want to be in food service, and just trying to manage that kind of a business locally has been really hard.
It's been
The rents
tough,
are
yeah.
super high because we're a tourist town. So I
Okay.
figured that if I went back into, I guess, the art itself rather than just one facet of arts, that I could deal with that. But I also spent a bit of time working on some coaching certificates, everything from goal setting, which initially was for myself, and then I guess just bringing in the other aspects of my passions, which with wellness and managing my own, those in my life are either in positions where they're having a hard time balancing life
Yeah.
day to day already, or I've reached out through programs like the local harm reduction programs and addiction services, things like that. And really there's a need for more options on what to do with yourself, and finding those outlets that are better for maintaining ongoing wellness, and not just
Mhm.
wellness for today. It's
Got it.
wellness a little bit every day, and we work on just the growth and the journey that is wellness.
Yeah, I hear ya. So I'm going to assume that right now business is booming because
I've
of
had a
people are
bit of
struggling.
a weird season in that regard. I haven't really reached out much. Unfortunately, I fall into the category where I'm actually high risk. I am immunocompromised, but I've been doing my best to, I guess, just keep myself ready for when things are opening up. I'm looking at, I guess, getting all my ducks in a row,
Mhm.
and of course with all the changes that come for me, a lot of those who have been dealing with. I got into a new space in August, and it was going to be big and great. But by October, I had a notice that she had to close her space already. So
Ouch.
I just removed. I moved everything in December, and so of course right before Christmas, I haven't gotten much time to finish setting things up. But I'm nearly ready to be open there. It's actually this kind of the space I was in originally when I started out February last year, but I'm in a bigger studio space within that space.
Right.
But it gives me the opportunity to have all my materials, and it's going to be fabulous because instead of all this in the background, my couch and my cat, it's going to be all my different projects, all the different mediums in the background. It's going to
Nice.
hopefully be
Awesome.
really nice so that I can properly do things from within my studio and safe at home rather than needing to actually go out into other spaces. So
I think in that aspect, I think we're all moving in that same direction, trying to get ourselves our own space, our own studio, our own area where we can get work done at home, especially when we're, just working remotely to an extent. I know Brian's got himself a new working space there, We've been seeing the kitchen for the past months, and now I see some wood boards back there,
Yeah,
and me too. I'm in my living
man.
room, and I'm thinking of trying to get a little thing set up in my garage now, where I have my own little office space too. So, time to change it, man.
I think that's the thing about COVID is that it's kind of all forced us to think differently, work differently, be more creative. I mean, this show coming back had to do with that, because I knew that we were going to be in this. I had a very bad feeling about this situation from the very beginning, and knowing that we were going to probably be at home for quite a long time, and I didn't want to be in a space where our kitchen is essentially in the middle of our house, so all the traffic from living room to bedroom to the bathroom and everything's just right there, and so yeah, I'm in a new space now. I like it in here. It's nicer in here. It's better in here. I feel like I don't. The hard part about working from home is you want to have your own space so you still don't feel like you're at home. So it's nice to not see this and keep a door shut and this be like its own separate little, I guess you could say, entity within the house.
It's its own space. Yeah, I feel you.
Because when you're working out of your kitchen and doing podcasting, writing, and creating content for YouTube and things like that, like I do, and you see all that equipment there all the time, it's either going to be like a temptation to want to keep doing more, which is not bad, or you kind of just you get sick of being in that same space because that's just the space you work in and you want to be separated. And I think that's the hard part, of working from home.
That's the hard part.
Yeah. Well, and Victor probably knows, of course, with kids in the house and all that, it can be really hectic trying to share a dinner table. My decision to officially get the art space rather than the space at home was because my husband just was like, you know what, there's art supplies everywhere and I want my table back. And I really, I mean, I'll take a space that isn't full of cat hair and constant people moving in order to be able to put my art out to dry and not have to look like cat hair and paint. It's not quite the best combination.
Not a good combination. Yeah. No, I get that too because we had our, I was working from our kitchen table, and I started this new YouTube channel called The Domain a few months back, and so we're doing these videos of us playing like all these board games and stuff. So every time I'd try to play a board game, I'd have to pack up the laptop and move everything out of the way, and then play the board game, shoot the video, then put everything back to edit it. So now I don't have to worry about that anymore. It's kind of nice to do that. So, but for those who don't know, Kona is a Canadian. She lives in Canada, and this is going to be a little bit of a different kind of episode because normally we talk about technology and entertainment. We can still tie that in here, but we are doing some catching up too because we haven't really had a chance to speak with Kona in quite a while. We've always maintained contact in some way, shape, or form throughout the years. I got to know, it's a hard subject to not talk about, but with COVID going on, I got to know, how has that affected your life and the life of Canadians there in Canada? What's it been like there? I mean, I know you guys, there's no travel into the United States or anything like that. I know you guys are allowed you can travel within the country like we can here.
Not actually. We're actually a little more restricted than that. Okay. Right now, I'm in BC. I'm in the Okanagan Valley. So
Okay.
so just to our south, I think about 2 hours, we've got a border crossing. So the next city over is Seattle.
Mhm.
Oh.
And basically, from where we're between Alberta and the Lower Mainland. So anybody coming through on the roads from Calgary and Edmonton are coming through our small communities and whatnot. And unfortunately, that was really, really bad for a lot of the numbers in the interior. Our numbers overall through the pandemic have actually been really well managed. There's a good chance that we actually got hit quite early, and because of course they're not doing the antibodies testing unless you're paying for it. Yeah, healthcare though. I am not going to
Yeah.
say.
Interesting.
Unless you're going to pay for the antibodies test, then
Yeah.
they're really not doing any early tracing. But there is a good chance that my household actually got hit end of January, early February. Um, and it was not fun. It really, really sucked. We were all bedridden.
Mhm.
It I mean, just the after effects. My health has been poor, and so when they said, you know what, in March last year, we're shutting everything down, it was like, well, if that's what I just had, then yeah, let's kind of pull it in for a little bit there. But it seemed like one of those things. I mean, you look back in history, and every 100 years or so, we get the big pandemic,
We
and
Mhm.
really
the
do.
way
It's
the
kind of weird.
travel,
Yeah.
yeah, the way the
Mhm.
travel's always been prior to this point in history is it's really limited. So I mean, because there was a war in 1918, we had all the disease traveling around the world.
Mhm.
There were still places that were quite protected from it,
Yeah.
and in that way, like my community has been, we had the early travel kind of lockdown, not a lot coming in and out, and BC's numbers overall, I don't know whether it's just the healthcare or whether there's other factors involved, but
Yeah.
it wasn't until this last while that we really saw any significant numbers. So
Mm.
with yeah, I mean, the initial lockdown changes were inconvenient. It hit in the middle of spring
Yeah.
break there, and I was
Yeah.
supposed to be running art classes, but really, with my health the way it was, I was fine to kind of step back and say, hey, yeah, I'll take the time. But then I realized with what they were calling, oh, everybody's so isolated, and already in that, like, I guess April, May point, everybody's like, oh, it's so terrible to be so
Yeah.
isolated. And I was sitting there, I'm like, you know what? This really isn't a big change for me. I'm not the kind of person that gets out of the house that much. I'm not the type of person to go hang out at the mall. I'd rather hang out with my friends online and
Yeah.
play games and stuff.
Yeah.
And we also just happened to have really good timing for Christmas last year. JT upgraded his computer, and so I think it was February, March, around his birthday, we ordered an Oculus. So
Oh, nice.
we have
Nice.
we have the Rift S, and it has been just one of the best investments. Oh my
So
gosh!
tell us
Like,
about this. Tell us
Oh
about
yeah,
it.
we gotta talk about the
well, I mean,
Oculus.
Yeah, we'll talk
there's not
about
much to
that.
say. I've got muscles.
Oh, look at that.
Like I'm playing Beat Saber and I have muscles.
That's
Let's
amazing. Oh,
go.
Kona's showing
So
off the
it's
guns. It just so happens to
yeah,
have a
See how she
tattoo,
tied.
huh?
See how she tied the technology into that. I like
Love
that.
it. Love it. Love it.
That's pretty awesome. That's pretty awesome. Yeah, no, for real though. But like, I mean, this whole thing that's been going on has just been insane. Like, I'm a huge extroverted person. Like, I like staying at home for a long period of time is like my kryptonite. That's just what it is for me. Like,
yeah. Well, I
I
know
don't,
you're
you
a big
know,
karaoke fan, you and Raven, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I haven't been able to do that. We could talk about conventions too. We can't do
Oh,
conventions
I I
anymore
I
right
miss
now. It's
I
Light,
miss
light,
all
light bulb,
my
man.
convention
Light bulb.
family.
We need
yeah.
to do a karaoke an online session of that, man. That'd be fun, dude.
Oh no
We
no
do
no
that.
no.
Hell, what
Let's
do you mean
not.
no? Let's do it. Man, come on. You're over here complaining
Only
about
if we're
not being
singing
able to
Disney
hang out
tunes.
with
How about
friends.
that?
Come on.
If we're singing Disney tunes, I'm in.
Oh,
It's
that is
Disney
funny.
tunes.
That's
I'm
funny.
down for that too. That'd be kind of dope. I'm down
Right?
for that.
That'd be
Yeah, man.
cool.
No, but we can't
Some
even do
Lion
like
King on this, yeah.
we
Let's
can't
do
even
it.
do we can't even do conventions right now, which is something that I love doing. I know all of us like to go to conventions, and for someone that went to, I think I went to like 14 or 15 conventions like 2 years ago,
Yeah,
and
that's a lot, dude.
now we can't, do them at all anymore, which is insane. This has been a very trying time for someone like me who loves to go out and do stuff, and and we just, it's been so difficult for the most
I
part.
was in a similar situation, how Kona's was too. I personally, I'm more of a homebody. I don't mind staying home unless, we're having an event. So then I'll go out and I'll hang out. But mostly I'm in the same boat. I'd be online, I'm at home, we'll hang out with the kids and everyone has a great time. In regards to how this thing probably hit your family, I think the same thing probably happened to us too, because around that last year's December 2000, what was it, 19? I don't even know the year no more. That December, January time frame, everyone was sick. Everyone was feeling bad. Everyone was kind of like,
Flu season.
yeah. And
Flu
I was
season,
like, then as the flu season is what everyone was saying at work, everyone was sick, people were coughing. And, when you're in a closed environment, it just tends to pass around. It's what happens.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I was in the same boat, chest was hurting, felt like I got hit by a truck, everything was stiff. And then, it went from my kid to my wife to myself, and then it went through it did the rounds basically, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, man.
And
Every
then
person
Mhm.
I was in contact with, which was like maybe 2 or 3 people, got sick in the same wallop sort of sick that I
Yeah.
got. It was 2 to 3 weeks of getting hit really, really hard, basically bedridden.
bedridden.
And if you see anybody in that 2 weeks, they're passing it on. Like everybody who we connected with,
Mhm.
like I know who I got it from. If that's what I got, I'm there is no question who I got it from.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Yeah.
one person that took me shopping at the 2-week mark, because my fridge was empty, it's like, you know what, I don't feel great, but I'm at least able to get out of bed today.
Mhm.
And I went shopping. And next thing I know, I haven't heard from the guy in 3 weeks. And it's like, yeah, no, I got sick and now all my friends are sick. And it's like, oh geez.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was funny because we were just barely hearing whispers of this virus or
And they
coming from Wuhan,
China
wherever
did
it was.
kind of fight off all of the announcements until the last possible minute.
Mhm.
So
I know
And it didn't really hit the news until like February, March, and that's when just shit hit the fan,
Yeah, I know my wife got really she became really sick. I think it was like January, February, something like that.
I think the what I've heard most recently is that the earliest cases that they've been able to confirm are actually November, December in I guess the northwestern United States. So just south
Washington
of that.
State, Oregon, things
like
that.
Washington,
and I wouldn't be surprised if it hit the Los Angeles area sooner than that, because we're a big travel hub. People come from all over the world to the LA area.
Los Angeles is also just so concentrated for population. I mean, I'm in this tiny little town compared to Los Angeles. We've got
I work in downtown Los Angeles. That's where I work.
34,000 at like regular levels. I mean, we double for our tourist season, but tourist season doesn't happen now. So
I would imagine
definitely concentrated.
I would imagine a lot of people got sick and didn't know that it was COVID, and they just assumed that it was the flu or bronchitis or pneumonia or what have you.
Yeah. And of course, those
luckily
who are most prone to illness like that, those who already have the weakened immune system, were the ones who showed that they had something. I mean, the doctors here were saying, it looks like everybody's got this lingering cough. Instead of the normal 2 weeks of having a cough after the flu, it's a month, 2 months later. And at this point, I mean, I've got ongoing issues. I'm still on a puffer. I had spent the last couple summers on a puffer because we had such bad fires locally, and the smoke was just so bad. But as like from February forward, I've had to have a puffer on me at all times because I just don't know what's going on. And unfortunately, it's one of those situations where, I mean, I might have to call my day early. I can go out and be in a mask for only so long, but once I start overheating, I don't feel like I can breathe. And so rather than being out without the mask or anything like that, which, I mean, here we're not allowed to go without it anymore. You can't go into any businesses without it.
Yeah.
We were talking technically about the borders, and I didn't really clarify there. I think as of I think 2-3 weeks before Christmas, we had the order that nobody's traveling between the provinces without need to do so. Like, I mean, there
Oh,
will be the
wow.
medical exceptions and things like that, but Alberta's numbers spiked really, really hard. And being just over from us, I mean, the best way to keep our numbers under control is to keep everybody out.
Just close out. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that had to have
I'm
been
sorry.
recent. Yeah,
Yeah,
that had.
let me just chime in real quick because I think I could be wrong, but I think I read something and for the Los Angeles area too. I think they're requesting or they're asking that nobody travel more than 120 miles away from home. That they're trying to keep you close, but to be quite honest with you, man, 120 miles is still kind of far.
yeah,
So,
that's
so
very far. I mean, even
yeah,
Canada
so
standards, that's a good distance. I mean, you'll
and I
get
think and I think that's the difference. Or I don't want to say that's the difference 'cause I don't know, but I still feel that a lot of these restrictions that we have started off with suggestions and then shit hits the fan and then they start getting into mandatory.
yeah,
Like,
no, you should wear masks. No, now you must wear masks.
yeah,
You
now you
shouldn't go
must.
to your
Exactly.
friend's house for Christmas. And now, like, I mean, even Thanksgiving, we were told we weren't supposed to go and meet in groups. And we've been
Yep.
lucky. We have a secondary family bubble because my husband works with them, and we also provide respite childcare for their child with autism. Um, they have a teenage daughter, and we have a tween, so it worked very well to be able to keep within that same bubble, and
Yeah.
we've managed to be able to keep on with what we need for our mental health because we are all kind of we've had a bit of a rough year, all of us.
Yeah.
We're all
Hmm.
needing that extra support, but we we tend to get, of course, the people reacting like, well, you're trying to find all the exceptions. And it's like, well, no, we're trying to keep ourselves healthy enough to get to next year. And now that we're in the new year, it's, you know what, it's we're working forward safely as much as we can. We're not
Yeah.
expanding our bubbles.
Yeah.
We're not seeing more people than we need, and we're only shopping as much as is
This is
absolutely
needed.
necessary to keep
Yeah.
food in the fridge. So
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
It's difficult.
I know I've been trying to, as much as I love to get out of the house, I've been trying to keep it very limited and things like that. And, you know, I
It's
think
hard, dude.
it's been rough, man. I wanted to ask you, Kona, you had mentioned like, your stores are telling people to wear masks and stuff. Are they, are they really enforcing, like, are your shops and things like really doing a good job of
so
enforcing it as much as they should?
um like I said, with even back for Thanksgiving, of course, our Thanksgiving is timed a little bit different than yours. You guys
Yep.
get you guys get a different order. Instead of Halloween Thanksgiving, you guys have
Yeah.
November Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, we
So
have November Thanksgiving.
ours is in the beginning of October.
Right.
So
Yep.
my timeline's a little bit different in that regard.
Yeah.
But by the time that was the case, like, I mean, even from the end of summer, we were being told that like, you need to wear masks on public transit, and if you're going to be in a public space with people and you can't guarantee that you're going to be able to keep the 6 foot recommended distance, that you wear a mask. And unfortunately, like, the first couple times I like even considered taking transit, I was sadly disappointed. You've got people wearing masks that cover
Like
only their
that.
mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got the
Yep.
people that wear it just on their chin the entire time they're on the bus ride. I mean, it was, and then of course the people that just didn't bother. And when you asked the bus drivers at that point, it was all, well, it says mandatory, but we can't enforce it. We can't do anything.
Yeah. That's
Um,
the
And
issue, man. We need these
it
enforcements to
slowly
happen.
it slowly gained, and eventually it turned from our Dr. Bonnie Henry is our provincial doctor. She's working with Adrian Dix, who is the provincial health minister, and they basically do a like day of the week report with how many new cases we have, what regions they're in, things like that, and
Right.
just reminding people what the rules are and what our suggestions versus what we're actually saying you need to do day to day now. And that quickly turned into, actually, no, if we're going to require that stores aren't allowed to let you in without the mask. And of course, we've had all the kickback for the few people that are not physically able versus those who are saying they're not physically able.
Right.
And it's gotten hard, and there's been clarifications now that yes, you can say that you have a health issue, and they cannot actually card you or like you aren't required to give proof that you have a medical condition or anything like that. But thankfully, it's not really been an issue that I've seen beyond a couple cases of people just. I mean, we've got a few churches that are getting fined every so often with gatherings of 20 plus people. They were told they weren't allowed to do that anymore. But I mean, heck, the churches actually got away with big groups for the longest. They were allowed gatherings of up to 50 right up until Thanksgiving.
Right. Yeah.
Did you personally, Kona, experience anything? I know you're being careful. You're not hitting out necessarily. But have you experienced anything where someone close to you was not, being careful, was not being safe, or anything along those lines?
For the most part, like, again, my circle is really small. Most of my friends group are not in my community. This is actually my husband's hometown, and my friends and my family are mostly on the coast. I actually was quite surprised that my own family. Some members of my family have had to, I guess, do testing at certain points, and they've had so much issue with people being like, oh, well, COVID's just the absolute worst thing, and it's a moral thing. If you get COVID, there's something wrong with you.
Oh, really?
And so they've been careful to even mention that COVID testing happened. And the idea of that just is really, really strange for me, that they would be worried.
That's
about
interesting.
What the next door neighbor thinks, that, oh, if I get a COVID test, obviously there's something wrong with me.
That's really weird.
That's interesting because, maybe this is a cultural difference between the States and Canada.
Yeah.
Over in Canada, it's a moral thing. Over here, it seems to be like everyone get tested, just get it done, and we need to have a test done.
I know in our community, like here in the Okanagan, the testing doesn't seem to be an issue. A lot of my family, again, being down on the island in the coast, and different circles, things like that, it really kind of depends. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are more in the position that we are, which is like, no, there's nothing wrong with getting the test. Getting the test is a great way to ensure that you're not going to get us sick and that you're taking care for us.
Right.
Whereas some people are just so scared right now that they're lashing out. And it's like, how dare you even consider having COVID near me?
Yeah, I hear you.
That's crazy.
Lashing out, man. It's just a different mindset, for different groups of people.
That's insane.
But that's definitely interesting. That's an interesting thing. And enforcement has always been an issue, man. That's been an issue here in the States since the dawn of time. Nobody enforces a damn thing, And I've had issues where people I'm at the store grocery shopping or whatever, and the dude in front of me is not wearing a mask. I'm like, and you do this thing, this used to be the smoking sign. Now it's like, hey, dude, you don't have your mask on.
Right.
So now, and the dudes are like, well, I don't need to wear a fucking mask, and I'm in America, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like, dude, come on, man. Are you kidding me? But, it's just one of those deals where it's been an issue,
now
man.
For us, it's all public spaces. So, I mean, I'm in an apartment building, and there's actually signs in the lobby and all that are reminding us that we need to wear a mask, even walking through the hallways. So, I mean, if we get takeout and delivery, which is all done with like drop locations and prepayment options out the wahoo now.
Yeah.
But it's all like, hey, where can we leave it, or how can we do like no contact deliveries and stuff. Even the people coming into the building are required to have stuff, and if we're going to open our door, we're expected to have our masks on.
Absolutely.
And I don't mind. I don't like some of the side effects. Like, I mean, I even saw an article recently called talking about mask mouth. Dentists are, because nobody went for a year basically to go to see the dentist. People are breathing through their mouths rather than their nose when wearing the mask, and it's causing this really foul breath and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the acne along here.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Whether or not you're washing your mask every day, just contact points where the mask has been really, really hard.
Interesting.
I mean, I went and bought a brand new lipstick, and then I haven't been able to wear it for a year.
I tell my wife, I kid you not. I tell her anyways, baby, just get dolled up. We're not going nowhere, but just go ahead, go put it on.
Oh yeah, home is the only place you can wear your makeup.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just do it anyways, man.
So we're gonna shift gears here. So we know that man, this 2020 was an awful year. It was full of just chaos and just everything that you can possibly think of. But let's get back to so Kona used to co-host this show with us several years ago. It's been a long time.
Yeah. Where'd the time go?
It has been a long time. And we had talked about Victor a few weeks back. Somebody that was on this show passed away last year, and we lost someone that I considered a friend of mine, Jeremy Bullock. He played Boba Fett in The Empire Strikes Back, and he was actually on the show, but the show got.
That's the lost episode.
The lost episode that didn't happen. And there was a lot of people that we lost last year, but for me, it's kind of like he's the one that kind of really stands out for me, because he's such a sweet guy. And I actually, last time I saw him was at a convention a couple years ago, and I know he had I think he had Parkinson's is what he passed away from. And when I saw him 2 years ago, you could tell there was just something not, like he wasn't very physically well. I had the chance to meet his wife, such a sweet lady. And he remembered me. It was kind of nice, but he just wasn't the same, man. And we had him on our show. It sucks that we don't have that episode. That was.
Oh, geez. I mean, we had fun talking about so much. And
that was the limitations of the technology at the time, and it sucks.
We didn't have, that's the thing about this. This show has evolved over the years, man. This show's been going on like almost 8 years now, man. And throughout the course of the show's history, we've had to learn new technologies, new ways of making these episodes happen. Now we have this great thing called Zoom that allows us to be on here. And I wanted to ask you guys a question with all the craziness last year going on and everything. Oh, hey, kitty. Aw. What are some things you guys have had to learn to do differently with technology, with COVID going on, and what are some things you've had to kind of tweak, whether it be at home or with your jobs or with being creative? What are some things you have had to kind of tweak, tech wise, with what you guys do at home, or have been doing, whether it's at home or wherever, for the last year?
Well, I mean, getting used to the video calls, making sure that I know the lighting in the space. I mean, when the pandemic hit, I didn't have a webcam. So, I mean, here we were in the rush of things. You couldn't get mail in, nowhere locally had stock. I mean, it took a couple months to get webcams available. Yeah. When the original lockdown hit, of course, again, it was spring break, and they actually delayed sending the kids back to school. I think my daughter got 2 weeks back before the end of the year officially hit, and most kids didn't actually go back until September. So Basically, any learning was done at home, and they were all expected to have webcams and all this equipment at home. And like, well, how do you expect me to get all
Yeah.
this? And they got a system set up to basically send computers home with all the kids, and that's if you needed it and all that. Thankfully, we already had. I'm getting low. So,
Yeah, I
but,
feel that pain. I feel that pain, Kona, because my kids were in the same boat. You know, the kids
Yeah.
had to get the laptops. They had to get. They had to have the camera. And luckily for us, that we did have the system in place with the school that they sent a Chromebook with every child.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
I
think-
shouldn't say every child, but you know, the ones that needed it. My kids picked one up because the teacher had already signed them up for it. So they
right.
were
That's
already
really great. That's
in line
cool.
for one. But
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
learning experience for not just us, but for them too, to make sure that they are aware that they need to be presentable. They have to have the camera on, how to make sure it works and the mic is working, because it's a
Yeah.
different experience
Mm-hmm.
having
were
to have the
definitely-
kids learn.
Yeah.
I feel like there were definitely more issues, not so much on the tech itself. I mean, for the sake of a tech savvy family, we are up there. I mean, we know what we're doing, and we know how to find the information if we don't.
Mhm.
But for the sake of, I guess, the rules that were coming out based on what the school board was saying or what the teacher wanted from each student, like the expectations were definitely not being they weren't level across the playing field. I mean, a lot of the teachers had no idea what they were doing, and again,
Mhm.
expecting certain things. Like, my daughter wasn't supposed to use her phone, and the teacher's like, well, how were you on video? I'm like, well, I was using my phone. But you're not allowed to use your phone. And it's like,
Wait, really?
if you want me to be
Yeah.
on video,
That doesn't make
I'm
sense.
either on my phone or I'm not, because I have no webcam. I have no
Wow.
way to do anything except for the phone. And I mean, again, we had that option at the beginning, and we eventually got the webcam, and the teacher lost it again because apparently now she's not allowed to have a webcam because she didn't have one before. So
Oh Jesus, come on.
You have to be kidding me.
No, but it's true. There's these
Wow.
technicalities that are just
See, you had-
ridiculous.
well,
man.
technicalities, and they want you to be in the middle of the family room, but none of the rest of the family is allowed to be in that room.
To be in the video. Mhm.
Like, they can't be in the video and they can't hear what's going on. And it's like, no, if you're going to teach my kid while she's at home, I'm going to hear what she's learning.
See, the
You're
thing
not
is,
going to block me from my own living room.
Yeah,
You're not gonna block me
yeah,
from
like,
doing
do
what
they-
she's doing,
do
'cause
they
then I
think-
can't be sure that you're doing something safe with my child?
yeah, like, do
Yeah.
they think that, like, all these families just have like a classroom set aside for you know, like a fallout classroom, you know, just in case shit happens, the kids can go learn on the computers in the computer room. Like,
It's crazy, dude. I mean, I know you don't have kids yet, Brian, but man, right now it's a weird time for the
Man.
kids to be learning.
Oh,
I have
man.
my kids on the dinner table, man, and I have
Mhm,
each one
mhm.
sitting because to me, I like to keep them there because that way I know they're in a learning environment as opposed
no
to
doubt, yeah.
hanging out at the room. Oh, my cat showed up now.
You got
Instead of showing up at the room, you know, and I don't know what they're up to. So
yeah.
So, but yeah,
yeah. How do you
it's
how
weird, dude.
how have you guys had to? That's actually a good. That leads me up to another question. How is it? Because you know we just talked about earlier. You know, having our own space. You know, Kona, you got your own space. Victor, you don't really have your own space, but he's just out there in the living room. I got my own office now. So how have you guys had to with your kids make it so that they know this is a classroom, but like it's also their kitchen? Like, how do you you know what I mean?
That's
like,
hard, dude. That's hard.
It's definitely
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah.
My daughter's Christmas present last year was actually a loft bed that had like a desk underneath. And
Okay.
Oh, nice.
initially we were
Nice.
letting her use her computer in that space, only to realize that she's not doing only her work, and she's not getting only that done. I mean, I will admit that we definitely let the rules of how long you got screen time, it went right out the window.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, I mean, if you need to be in class for this many hours, but then you need your free time, and the only way to even talk to your friends is online. And
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's
there
definitely
were
lax
a
now.
lot of
Mhm.
really big adjustments in that regard. And eventually it turned into like her doing the actual class stuff in the living room so that we could see that she was actually getting it done. I mean, the biggest, I don't know, the biggest issue just with getting the work done was making sure that she had the time to connect with her friends, and there wasn't a proper opportunity to get the contact information for half of them before spring
Yeah.
break,
Mhm.
before the
Yeah.
spring break lockdown. But so going into the summer break, there really wasn't, there
Sure.
weren't any connections yet. The
Yeah.
the feeling of isolation for the
Yeah.
kids
Mhm.
has definitely been a big toll, and so they've been working. The numbers are showing that the kids aren't transmitting in the same sort of ratio that a lot of other
Mhm.
groups are, and so they've kept the kids in. At this point, they went with no extra delay before Christmas or after,
Yeah.
so they're back at school. And well, I mean, technically it's Saturday today, but
Yeah.
Just a quick touch, just a touch on that isolation portion of it. Um, even the adults too. I think the social interaction is hugely beneficial to people, man. We have to
Yeah.
have interaction with people, and I think that when you're a kid, that's even more important because that's when you learn the social skills to become, better adjusted as an adult. So
Mhm.
once Kona comes back, I want to know what she's
Yeah.
doing in terms of having her kids continually to be
For
socially
sure.
active,
Oh,
because that's just
well,
that's the part that's what I do struggle with, man, because
that's
it sucks.
yeah.
My youngest one is 11 years old, man, and he's a
Yeah.
he's a
Yeah.
little gamer. He's on Fortnite, he's on Apex, he loves the
Sure.
first person shooters, and I keep an eye on that. But one of the things that
Yeah.
pains me to hear him the most is, dude, I want to hang out with my friends and I can't.
Yeah.
And it's really tough. And it's funny because the neighbor kids outside, they have a young lady. Her name is Keiko. She's like 5 or 6 years old. And the young lady, she comes outside. She wears her mask, but she has this little pole with her. This like almost like a paper made out of paper towel
Okay.
thing,
Okay.
and it's her social distancing pole. So with her, if she can touch you with the pole, you're too close. So Kona, I just wanted to know, with the
Funny.
kids in isolation, are you doing anything in particular to keep them socially active, that they're having any kind of social interactions? Because I know one of the toughest things right now is the kids not being able to interact with friends, not being able to
Mhm.
gain those social skills that they
yeah.
usually gain at school.
So
Is there
it's
anything in particular that you do to, keep that up?
we're doing what we can. Again, trying to go by the guidelines, which I mean, they're contradicting each other here or contradicting there, and with how quickly everything's been changing and like the expectations with all that. We've had like we've had a lot more normalcy since September. She's been able to basically keep with her classroom group. It's within like the halls and all group spaces. They have to
Um,
wear their mask in the school,
that's good.
um,
Yeah.
but their classrooms themselves, there really isn't the same level of I guess safety or whatnot. It's the classroom is their own bubble,
Mhm.
and with that we've let her do like walking home with her friends after school. She's got a fella who's got her interest right now, and she's been
Mm.
spending some time with him. We because he is her direct bubble, and really if we were going to get anything from somebody, I mean,
Yeah.
if he was carrying it, we'd get it anyways. So
Mm.
we've had him over to play Beat Saber with us for a movie or two. I think the kids actually are talking about going skating pretty soon, and there's ways like a couple of the community things, like again like the pool is open technically, which just kind of
And I, yeah,
it scares me. I mean, the idea of it, that
What?
much moisture, the idea the pool's open at all.
That is
But
ridiculous.
it
I'm
does.
Wow.
assuming that because it's just got so much like of the chemical cleaner in the water, that as long as they're spacing people out, they think it's okay.
That's kind
Um,
of hard to do in a pool, though. But
I
yeah, it's
mean,
you
you know,
you get groups where you've got like I think
that's
you
weird.
rent out lanes at a time, so you get like this lane and then there's at least one lane between you and the next
I'll
group over.
I'll
And
Oh man.
again, it seems like some things seem like they're, yeah, no, this makes sense, and other things not so much.
Here's what doesn't make sense to me. This is so you guys have children, of course. Do you guys are you familiar, Kona, with a place called Chuck E. Cheese? I'm sure you've heard of it before.
I am familiar with Chuck E. Cheese.
Do they have them in Canada?
Obviously, the meme factor. We don't have Chuck E. Cheese in Canada,
Okay.
which is weird because as a kid, I once found a Chuck E. Cheese coin in the road.
But I'm pretty sure there's similar places, right? Something similar.
Not as many. I know, like there were a couple like grocery stores, like they're out on the island. They've got quality foods, and there was one quality food there that had like a ball pit, and they did all sorts of games. So you basically dropped your kids off in the middle of the grocery store and then let them play while you go shopping.
So check this out.
But aside from that, we had a place that was called Cyber City for years, and I think it closed about a decade ago. They had mini golf, the whole 9 yards. Mostly arcade style rather than like ball pit stuff, and it was definitely targeted a little older audience than a lot of the Chuck E. Cheese stuff. But I'm definitely familiar. Like, I mean, if not through like personal stuff, then through media.
Yeah. Well, what's really odd to me is we have a Chuck E. Cheese by where we live, and it's open, and they're letting kids go in there. And
really,
dude. And it's really weird because I was it's right by the GameStop that is closing down where I got some of my stuff for my office at. And I was by there the other day, and the parking lot was just full. And I go by the window, and there's just a ton of kids in there, and they don't have their masks on. And I'm like, what in the hell is your problem? Like, why? We don't need a Chuck E. Cheese open right now. Like, no. Like this. Like, if you can't go to school. If you can't go to school, you should not be going to freaking Chuck E. Cheese, though, man.
that's another difference that I'm noticing here. That we have kids going to school, like in the physical building over where Kona is. Kids are not allowed in school over here just yet. They're still staying at home. Everything is remote. Yeah. Speaking of Chuck E. Cheese, man, I got one about 10 minutes, 15 minutes away from my house. That place has been shut down since this whole thing happened.
I would have expected Chuck E. Cheese would be one of the first things to die. Like,
you would think, but they open over.
And you know what?
It's open over here. It's insane.
I'm not talking about Chuck E. Cheese in particular, but I think it sucks that this pandemic has hit not the fast food, but just the food industry in general, big time. Because you know what? I'm a foodie, man. I love to eat. I love buffets. That's gonna be a thing of the past, man. Because there's gonna be no way that's gonna happen anymore.
Oh no, there's
you know what I mean? But I'm really surprised that the one by your place though, Brian, is open and actively, just active. I can't believe that.
Like here's the difference, and I don't want to get into this. Let's not make this a big discussion, but it has a lot to do with politics, unfortunately, because let's face it. Victor, you live in California, very liberal, progressive state. You guys have a progressive governor there, right? But so but when you're here in Indiana, we're a very conservative state. So you have to understand, and it sucks that's come to that point. This shouldn't be about politics. It's a damn virus, man. The virus doesn't care what you believe in or who you whatever, right?
Yeah, if you breathe, the virus is interested.
Yeah, right.
Right. So the thing is that it doesn't surprise me, Victor, that you guys have them shut down. I know in Canada, you guys are more of a I guess progressive country there.
Yeah, well, we've got like here in BC, we've got a New Democratic Party as our provincial politics right now, and we've got the Liberal Party for the federal government. Yep. So I mean, overall, Canada tends to be a little bit more left leaning, but you do get patches, and definitely out east, things are way different. Yeah. Out in Ontario, I mean, the numbers have just been skyrocketing, and I really am not seeing a lot out of there. But I mean, we've also got a Ford running things out there, so I mean, there's only so much you can do when it gets down to the politics.
Yeah, it's just so I mean, like I said, but Victor, I'm not surprised you guys are having them closed down. but here, I mean, to see that, and it's off of a road that's a very prominent road here by where I live. So I mean, when I'm driving by it, I see it, and I'm just like, man, and that's
What's the
and my
population?
oh man, here. So I live in southern Indiana. I live by a body of water. I live by the Ohio River, and I'm right across the river from Louisville, which is a huge city in Kentucky. It's probably their biggest city in Kentucky. So the population here in my particular town, I live in a pretty not very small town, but we're not like urban by any means. We're very rural. We're pretty rural esque. I don't know. I would say we probably have anywhere from maybe 7,000 to 8,000 people live here. But we also have two other towns that are very in close proximity to each other. So population can get mixed, especially between us and Louisville. So, I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot. I mean, we have, and that's what sucks about this whole thing too. You know, you guys in Canada have been kind of making it where in between provinces, you don't want to have people traveling so much. But see, the thing about living here where I live in, it's a very special situation because, you know, our Indiana governor has had restrictions, but the Kentucky governor, which is very progressive, he's put more restrictions down. So then you'll have people from Louisville say, "Oh, I'll just go across the bridge to Indiana because it's a lot more loose on restrictions." So we'll have a lot more people here because of that. So I mean, yeah, it's been crazy, man. But yeah, to see that Chuck E. Cheese open, I had to take my friend by there the other day. He's like, "No way, it's open." I said, "Yeah, dude." And we drove by there, and he saw all these cars, and he's like, "I would never take my kid in there. There's no way in hell I would let my son go in there." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
that's
me
insane.
no way. There's no way, man. It's
Yeah,
not
That's insane.
I mean, we've got there's a lot of the smaller communities in BC are short for medical professionals at this point. So you go down to the coast if you want to get medical testing done, or if you need to get certain procedures done. If you have like even serious accidents, you still get shipped to Vancouver. But when it comes to like, I mean, borders and things like that, we've actually had issues through BC because we've got people from the States, like especially early in the pandemic. They're like, "Oh yeah, well we're shutting down the borders." But if you said you were going to Alaska, they weren't going to stop you.
Oh man.
Oh, what?
And so you've got all these people, and all they had to do at the border was say they were going to Alaska. And it didn't matter if they'd made every stop along the way for their vacation. And so, I mean,
Wow.
a lot of the
I didn't know
contact
that.
tracing, yeah, a lot of the contact tracing was showing that, yeah, no, they're coming up, and they haven't been following any of the rules, and they got around the 14-day quarantine, like, because basically you get into the country up until recently when they could do the fast-paced testing, which is like a 2 or 3 day turnaround.
Yeah.
They were saying, yeah, no, absolute like tight restriction. You get a 14-day quarantine before you even go like back to work or anything like that. Will basically cover you. The government will cover you for going back to work until you're out of your quarantine period. And then again, there were all these folks. I mean, we had a couple things make the paper in Alberta as well, that they came up through Alberta and then cut across, but they were stopping at every truck stop and diner. I mean, like it really
Jesus.
makes you wonder.
It's just
like, hey,
That's
like,
crazy, man.
it's like nobody
you
wants.
gotta watch what the exceptions are, because people are gonna take it.
Yeah.
There's people trying to find a shortcut, man. They're
Yeah.
trying to find an
wearing
exception. They're trying to
masks
find
is
any.
They're
one of
trying to look
those
for a
weird things,
loophole.
too. If you're under 12,
Jeez.
technically you're not required. You cannot be required to wear a mask. I still see lots of kids wearing masks, and I still see lots of kids not having any trouble with them. But you're going to end up with those parents that are like, "No, you can't make my kid do that."
Yeah.
Because it's one of those exceptions, and I'm going to take it just because I can, because I need some level of power right now.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think it is.
That's
Is that
what it is,
people just
yeah.
want to.
I need
I know that our
control.
freedoms and our restrictions are limited right now, but it's for a reason. You know, people are getting sick, and I forgot who it was that said that it's not so much for me, but it's for the people around me that I need to make sure that they're okay. Because I'm okay, but I don't know if there's a health issue with my neighbor. I don't know if there's a health issue with someone close by. So protect yourself to make sure that they're protected.
Well, and the thing about it is there's still this I feel like it's a stigma now to do it. And a lot of people, I don't know how, there's still some uneducated people about this whole mask ordeal. some people think that they don't need to because they don't have, or because they don't care about getting it from someone, and it's not like Victor said, we wear them for you, not for us. Like it's not. I don't put a mask on for me. You know, it doesn't protect yourself, and there's been it's just been insane to see. You know, I feel like the last year has been the real test of humanity as a whole. Like this whole thing has been a test of our will to live, our willingness to change. And people don't like change, period, right? Like there's a lot of people out there who don't like change.
Yeah, you gotta adapt, man.
But you gotta adapt to survive, right? That's life, man. Like,
I mean, man, we're getting too much into this hardcore political and crap hitting the fan. We know that 2020 was a crappy ass year. Everyone had to adapt. Everyone had to change. Everyone should have adapted and should have changed, I should have said. But there's people that don't. And for those watching around the world, the shit that's hitting the fan right now in the States with the Capitol and all that other stuff, you know, that's a whole other discussion that we'll have some other time. But I think, Brian, we should just move on to some fun stuff.
Yeah, let's get into
I don't even want to get into that anymore, dude. Kona, I got two questions for you, man. First of all, you mentioned the Oculus, so we got to talk about that. And number two, I see the bloopers on your earrings, man. You got to let us know where you got those. What's the story behind the bloopers there?
So these are just, again, I picked these ones up at a convention. These are actually made with mini perlers rather than the full size, like original style. So you can see.
Oh, yeah, look.
I like that. I like those. Those are great.
I thought it was wonderful. I picked up this set, which is a matching set. But I also have a set from the same person, and it was the Yoshi egg on one side and just the baby Yoshi on the other.
Oh, nice. My wife would love those.
They're absolutely adorable. So we got us a rift.
Oh, look at that. I like that.
Hey, I like the googly eyes. That's a great idea.
All right.
Well,
that is amazing.
Shots. And we need them to realize when we've got the VR set on that we're able to see something rather than having them like around our feet getting booted or something like that. We've put this on, and they seem to take a little bit more care about being within the space now that there's eyes looking at them.
Yeah, that's a smart idea. That's great.
But it's also kind of fun because you can be going and you're doing all the actions and whatnot, and you just whip around to the next person, and then just the way that the eyes spin is just so silly.
I think I need to pick one of those up. I've heard so many good things about the Oculus, and it's actually picking up a lot of steam now. So we
got the Rift S, and if you've got a computer that's powerful enough for that, then absolutely I recommend that model. My friend, they were they're the same friend that we've basically kept that bubble with, and they picked themselves up the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah,
the Quest 2 is set up as a standalone, so you don't need a computer to hook it up to. Of course, now we've found that a bunch of things didn't quite mesh up for them to get that version compared to what we got and still get the same, I guess, playability. We got them Skyrim for Christmas for the kids, only to find out that it is not powerful enough to run Skyrim.
Oh, wow.
So they went and they've upgraded their computer, only to realize that, of course, now the Beat Saber that they were hoping that they'd be able to run through the computer doesn't actually connect with the Steam version. So here we are. We still can't play against them from home. And
technology,
one
man.
thing after another, they're not quite matching up in a way that is totally convenient. Their model is quite front heavy. So if you don't have like a weight on the back of it, then it ends up being a lot. But of course, the weight on the back of it is a lot of weight, and my neck can't handle it for more than a couple songs before I'm just like, you know what, I need a break.
Right. Yeah.
Wow. But, is that are you talking about the Quest, or are you talking about the Rift that has the weight in the back?
It's like a white. It's a white model. It's got slightly different grips. I love their.
I've seen them. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I like the Quest 2 handles more than I like ours.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, both like the models we got. So unfortunately, like even the Wii came with better straps than this. What the hell? I mean, they're plastic, and once you get them on, they loosen just from going like this.
Oh, I see that.
So
Oh yeah.
Wow.
you get sweaty hands, and you start swinging like this, and they're flying out of your hand
Oh no.
and off your wrist.
Yikes.
Whereas the Quest 2, in addition to the shape being a bit different in this section, the straps are actually fabric. They'll pinch a bit better. I've actually talked about pulling the Wii straps off and switching them out, but we've ordered an option that's supposed to have a strap that goes along the back of your hand as well. And
more
really,
secure.
when it
Oh, that's
comes
nice.
to the swinging motion, I feel like it's going to be a lot more secure. I'm not going to have to worry about that really loose wrist strap. But
Yeah, I think Nintendo learned that lesson. Remember back in the day when the Wii first came out, and there was some people with the straps
website?
breaking, or it was hidden.
Yeah.
They were
It was
breaking
hidden
their TVs,
screens.
man.
Yeah.
They were breaking their TVs. They were trying to play a tennis game, and woo, it came off.
Babe, off it went. It was gone.
They hit a
I
home
remember
run, all right, on their
those days,
40,
man.
on their
But
60.
I'm surprised that based on that, the Oculus didn't go with some fabric inspired straps.
Yeah, no, I really
came right
expected
off.
something a little more heavy duty from that. But overall, I mean, it's been okay. We found out the hard way that we need to make sure that it is as though it were sitting on your head when put onto a surface, because otherwise it's not balanced properly. We actually busted our head strap, and it cost us $75 just to redo the head strap, because the sound is in the head strap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was an expensive accident, but we aren't going to do that again. We're going to get like hooks to keep it up on the wall and out of the way.
And,
wow,
but
that sounds interesting. I want to get
that,
one. I think I'm going to get one of those.
The only game we've been, I guess, kind of disappointed with, JT got himself Half-Life Alyx, and he is so excited to play it, but even we don't have enough RAM. So we've got RAM on the way. Hopefully it'll be here soon. Because honestly, the game looks amazing. And
it looks really great.
So far have been just beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, very excited to see Half-Life Alyx after all these years.
Are you
Half-Life,
guys?
Yeah, it's been forever since I've seen Half-Life.
Are you guys console gamers at all, or do you guys mostly play on PC?
We have old systems. We have NES, we have SNES, we have PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, we have a Retron 5, which will play NES, SNES, Genesis, Famicom, Super Famicom. And
nice, cool.
We have like Game Boy Colors, we have Game Boy DS, we've got the 3DS, the Oculus, we've got the Xbox One, or not the one, but like the original.
The regular Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, original Xbox.
Yep.
And then we've got Wii. We had a GameCube for a little while, but I'm not sure it's working at this point. But yeah, we don't really have much in the way of current generation anything. We've got 360, Xbox 360, but
nice.
I mean, everything's kind of out of date at this point.
I'm listening to you speak, Kona. It looks like you've had consoles from the dawn of time, and you stopped at the 360. Any particular reason why you didn't pick up any of the Xbox One, PS4, anything like that? Like, is there a story there, or is it just that you guys pull out of that?
I think for the most part, we've always kind of preferred PC for most games.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's all the retro games that we're really connected to. There's the nostalgia involved, and I mean, our game collection is not insignificant. But for the most part, any games that came out on the newer consoles, we can play better on PC.
That makes sense.
So, I mean, there really wasn't any point in playing it at half the graphics capabilities when we could play it on PC and also play alongside friends because it's connected through Steam or something like that.
Right. Yeah,
Makes a lot of sense, yeah.
I want to get that's like one thing I want to do this year is, because I'm torn, because I'm a big console gamer, and I really want to get like one of the newer consoles like PS5 or Xbox Series X, but I also really want to get a nice, beefy, powerful PC because I know Steam has a lot of really great sales from time to time. Like like so many games on there that are cheaper, and yet you can play them on a better graphical fidelity than you could.
Yeah,
on
well, and I mean,
on the newer
so
stuff.
some games like not only the graphics, but you get extra options just because the computer can handle the processing behind.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if
Yeah.
you play Minecraft on PC versus all the other options, you got way more to work with. I mean,
Yeah.
not
Oh yeah.
and that and all the mod communities.
The mod community really goes to work there, yeah.
Like, I mean, with Beat Saber, we started out playing Beat Saber with the original songs, and then like we had actually been introduced to Beat Saber playing on, I think we were playing on the PS4. And then we were like, oh yeah, this is great. Oh look, we can play it on PC. We just have to get this version of the VR, and we went through that method, and then we found out that the mod community, of course, is huge.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, not only is the mod community huge, but somehow they're not realizing that they're advertising their mod community as much as they are, because the most recent Beat Saber ad we actually saw included songs that aren't included with the actual game.
Oh wow.
Oh,
So it's like, yeah, I mean, if you're gonna give me a song in the thing, I'm gonna download the mod so I can actually play that song.
right. Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're playing songs like Rah Rah Rasputin, and we're doing like Disney songs. Like I'll Make a Man Out of You is great for Beat Saber.
That's awesome.
So
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I need to get a VR because I want VR really bad. I love VR. I've tried it. I've played Beat Saber a few times. It's such a great game. I'm sure it gives you a pretty good workout too. Yeah.
oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
the workout
yeah.
is great. You get Dance for the leg days. You get Beat Saber for the arm days.
Yeah.
And then you get
See, Sona's got it
for
down.
all
She's
of
got the system down already. Yeah.
That's
What I need to do, man. I gotta get myself back into workout mode, whether
See, the
it
thing
be
is-
whether it be through gaming or not, man. Because
See, I got that. So I have a Switch, and they have that Ring Fit thing, and I have that. And I was like, at one point, I was like, last year, pandemic, all this stuff. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna get my ass in shape, and I'm gonna do it the only way the best way I know how, by playing video games, right? And so I bought that thing, and I started to use it, and it's just been sitting there. So I need to get back into doing it again, and it's hard, man. Like that is like, I know Beat Saber, you got to do all this stuff with your hands and your arms, and you get a workout. But man, I'll tell you what.
Well, and the Just Dance is another great one. Honestly, my daughter for school at this point, because again they have limited time that they can actually get out to be outside in the schoolyard and get that extra activity, because they've got them chunked into quadrants that they can be in and all that sort of stuff. They're actually doing Just Dance in their classroom. So they move all the desks aside, put Just Dance up on the projector, and they're all doing like a few Just Dance songs. And honestly, I can't keep up with those workouts. Like they're hard.
Yeah, like in Ring Fit, you have to you have to take this thing, and it's a tension circle, so you have to push as hard as you can, and it's like there's a story mode in there, and you have to
I've heard of it.
To fight bosses with like squats and. Dude, this is the weirdest. It is the absolute weirdest thing I've ever played in my life. And it actually, there's leaderboards of like how high of a score you get, not for like losing weight or anything like that, but like there's leaderboards for like how fast you went through a level, or dude, it's the craziest thing ever, man. I need to get back to doing it again because it was a lot of fun. But man, it's rough.
I've always been skeptical with things like that, man, because the first thing that comes to mind is, I'm not sure if you guys have seen the movie Megamind. There's a character, the name Vector, and he's playing like Wii tennis or whatever the hell he's doing, and he's lying on his couch just like this. So I'm like, that's what I picture when I see and I hear some of these things. They're like, oh, dude, we get Ring Fit, but I'm pretty sure I'll just be squeezing it like this or something, dude.
But the Ring Fit though, it has it makes you take one of the Joy-Cons and put it on a little strap, and you put the strap on your knee, around your knee, or your leg, and it actually tracks your leg movements too. So
really?
You gotta like do these like high 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 steps and things. Oh man, it's a workout, dude. You get a whole body workout when you do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Beat Saber actually has it built into the scoring system that you get more points for doing full arm motions. Like basically the range of motion is measured.
Yeah.
There are
look at that.
based on how much distance your arms have actually traveled.
Yep.
Starting with like 100 kilometers as one of the first of the achievements.
See, I haven't tried it, so I'm so curious. I want to get
you gotta do
on that, dude.
It's a ton of fun. It's
through the mod community as well, and I'm not sure the actual dynamics of how it would work, but there seems to be Kick Saber as another mod community add-on to Beat Saber,
wow,
where you're actually kicking the notes. So again, not sure how you actually attach things to your legs like that.
I gotta look this up later.
To have to actually go and be like kicking through like side and left and right and try not to fall on your ass.
Not to fall, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Even like 2 games in, like, dude, my legs are tired. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah. Well, you have to watch with Beat Saber. I mean, you'll have so much fun the first time. Even when you feel tired, you're like, oh no, I could keep going. You won't lift your arms for 3 days. Nothing past here. You're like, yeah, no.
That's cool. That's good. That's a good burn, though. That's a good burn.
That's insane, man. I mean, but that also takes into consideration people trying to find other ways to use technology for things. Because I know, like, there for a while, a lot of the like gyms weren't open, like Planet Fitness, Anytime Fitness, all these different places weren't open because of COVID. And now you're even seeing those places open. And you know, I do miss going to the gym, but even like now, I'm like, I don't know if that's something I really want to do. So
yeah, I mean, a couple of months of gym membership that you're not paying easily gets you an Oculus of one variety or another.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean it definitely pays for itself. And I mean we've got probably coming up on 200 hours logged in the year that we've had it.
Wow. That's crazy.
And then that's just the one game. We've got other games like this, I think it's Sword and Sorcery. We've got JT got me an art one for Christmas. I can't tilt brush, and so I can do like sculpting and painting in 3D.
That's crazy.
And like there's so many different games, and the options are just so varied. I mean, really, if the schools thought about it, VR classrooms are like the next big thing. I'm sure.
Yeah, we're getting there. That's for sure. We're getting there. Because I noticed when I was last in the classroom, when I went to go visit with my kid's teacher, I mean, that classroom was so high tech. They had a whiteboard, dude, which I thought was a whiteboard. But no, man, it was a screen. The thing turned on and it was like a big old computer. And he's over here touching the board and he's like switching, showing me all kinds of stuff. And I was like, what? Where was this when I was a kid? We had the projector, you know, had that flimsy sheet on top of something to project on the wall.
And it was so loud.
Yeah, right. It was so loud. So it's a completely different world now, and these kids in school. So I mean, they're gonna be so tech savvy when they're up there. But
they already are.
They're already there.
My daughter can do video editing 5 times better than I can, and she.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She's
my
only
kids like, did that. Why don't you have a YouTube channel? It's there. Yeah, but you got no videos on it. I got more videos. He was like, oh, dude, I don't want to sit there and edit. That's all. But yes, I mean, the kids are just so tech savvy. They're so tech heavy now that it's just insane to me.
I'm telling you, man.
But we're getting there. Virtual classes, I think, is something that we're going to see in the near future because I think the technology now is there for it. We have the makings for it, and it's just a matter of actually putting it into place.
And not only that, but I mean, I feel like a lot of companies now are going to probably start having people work from home more, if not give them the option to work from home. Because if you're sick and you're not feeling well, like, you know, and you don't want to go into the office, I think a lot of people would definitely benefit from being able to at least work from home or even take a partial day at home. Maybe, you know, if you're feeling really ill, and you don't want to work a full shift, well, maybe there's a compromise of like, well, maybe say you want to work 4 hours at home and that's your day. You could take a half day. You could still go to the doctor, come back home,
Finish
that
up your
way.
day. There's gonna be
Finish up
ways to
your
go
day.
around that
I
for
mean,
sure.
I feel like a lot of businesses and companies, like, my wife, she works from home. That's why we have this office, because she sits over here next to me while I'm here doing and editing videos. She's over here on her doing her job. So I mean, it's been nice to have that option, and it'll be interesting to see what businesses decide to do at this point after we beat this thing and we get over it, and we're and back to a better place. How many of these companies are going to say, hey, I can make some of my employees work from home and maybe cut cost in like office space. You know what I mean? Things like that.
I actually wanted to bring up now, again, technology being one of our big topics. What have you guys seen? Like, I know with the healthcare system being so different here, and I mean, we have socialized healthcare, so we all get access to it, and those with more means pay a bigger portion, like out of pocket for services.
Right.
But one of the biggest things I've seen as expansion is like the TELUS Babylon, and there's a Medimap is one that the government has been kind of referring people to, where rather than going and doing, like, we're not doing any walk-ins at this point, really. The doctors are calling people back and only bringing you in if you actually need testing or they actually need to see something in order to diagnose it.
You talk about telehealth.
And so,
yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing just the absolute potential. And I mean, the waiting lists are going to go down as long as you actually have people able to still get in for like the big things. I think one of the big things this last year is they're seeing that cancer rates are down, but only because people are unlikely to be getting diagnosed during all that. But at the same time, I mean, now that they've got the infrastructure all set up, the ability to keep moving forward and keep again, people at home who really need to stay home and not be sick, sitting in a waiting room of people who might be immune compromised and already sick. I mean, the idea that we can save time, we can have doctors seeing so many more people because they don't need to sanitize the whole room between clients they call. And really, if it's a prescription refill, it takes 5 minutes. Whereas they could have you waiting in a waiting room for 2 hours just to see a doctor.
See, what I would love to see, I know Samsung has the ability to like check your pulse and your heart rate and things like that. What I would love to see these companies like Apple, Samsung do is, we have, when, I don't know if you've had it done, Kona, I know you try not to go out, but I know like maybe Victor has, and myself, you go somewhere and they, they'll scan your temperature, right? They'll just hold it up.
Yeah, the dentist office that my family goes to got something like that, and I was surprised at how non-invasive it was. I literally just walked up to the thing and it took my temperature.
What I would love to see, maybe even Apple and Samsung do, and a lot of other smartphone companies, is integrate that technology in our phones. Like put a temperature taker in the phone, or even on the wrist, or on a smartwatch or whatever. And then that way, if we could do, I'm sure you were referring
like, hey, I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling under the weather. Can you tell me if I should actually try to call into work or call in for the doctor?
And you can go.
The infrastructure is there.
That stuff, and use telehealth to be able to see your doctor on your phone, and they can take your temperature by maybe touching your finger, or because I have that on my phone here.
I'm connected to your system. Can you put your reading in, like?
Or just hold it up to my head and let it take my temperature that way. Just like you would do when you go somewhere. We have the technology. Why not go towards that and implement that, so we don't have as many people, like you said, Kona, in these waiting rooms, cross-contaminating each other and possibly getting something from someone while you're waiting to go get better.
Well, and I mean, the amount of time that I'm seeing people like waiting, even when they call in kind of last minute, I don't think I've heard anybody waiting more than maybe 25 minutes for a call back. And that's like unheard of for healthcare, especially in the Valley here. I mean, we don't have enough family doctors to go around, and haven't the entire decade or so I've been here now. And to not have to like worry about where I have to get my prescription filled next because I don't have a family doctor to keep going. The doctors can all get the same records online. I mean, they've all got access to the same information to see that I just need a refill of this same thing, and it's made things a lot easier just
Yeah.
to access.
Yeah,
Like
I think that
accessibility has changed so much, and in such a good way.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
that I think
agree.
it's possible. I think that there's no doubt that we can get something like that done. I just think it's going to be a matter of getting everyone on board because this is something that's going to include not only the doctors but the healthcare providers. Not only
Yeah.
are they involved, but now we have the tech that's going to be involved. Who's going to take ownership of this? Are we going to have Apple do it? Are we going to have Fitbit do it? Are we going to have Samsung,
They can
Google?
all do it. They
Like,
can all do it. Though.
and then that's all well and good.
Yeah.
But the only problem that I see with this, and I think it's great if we actually get it working.
As long as we keep
but
it out of a monopoly.
yes, that's right. That's what we need to do because we don't want to have, well, X amount of, my risk, my smart risk, my health risk. Let's call it health risk. My health risk thing, is from Google, so I can get this, and this. But if I get it from Samsung, which is going to cost me $100 more, it's going to do this, and this. But the Fitbit one does this, and this, and it's going to cost me $20. It's like
I get what you're
that. That's the stuff that needs to be just get that out of the way. Let's not even deal with that.
Yeah,
it's got to be somehow received through your healthcare provider at a fixed cost and just leave it at that. But that's a great idea, man, because again, I was sick this past year during my surgery, and I had a lot of phone calls, a lot of my doctor saying, well, I need to see you, as opposed to let's do a video, let's take a look and see how you're doing. Because I know that it's there. The option is there to have a video conference with your doctor.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've done it before.
It's just it's not popular. It's not out there. Not many people do it,
But I think that as we go on in life, it's gonna get that way because like for instance, smartwatches are becoming more popular, and I think it'd be kind of cool to I can talk to my doctor on my phone, and they'll say, okay, I want you to take your temperature, and you just tap your forehead to your wrist, right, and then they get a reading on their end of what your temperature is. I mean, we have the ability to do these things. It just we just use them for other things like fingerprint, unlocking with your fingerprint or whatever, your phone. But we need to start thinking about more practical ways to use these things where it comes to health. We already have Fitbits that can track your sleep. We know how many times you toss and turn or your things like that.
Yeah, right.
And but we have the ability to do these things. But now we need to think of the next logical step in this evolution of technology of, okay, how can we make it to where we can take people's temperature with their smart watches or their phones, or what other ways can we do that? I know, right? What other ways can we implement this technology we have to make people's health care easier? You know what I mean? And better.
I think that's where we're going to go this year. I think we're going to see some leaps and bounds in how we use our tech for health, since we're in a very health conscious mode right now, So I think that's where we're gonna. I think that's where we're gonna go.
It definitely gives that opportunity as well. I mean, whether or not your workplace is cycling, who's actually in the office, or just the ability to work from home. If you can do it all from home, then why not? I mean, why pay for the big office? Why pay for all those extra things? As long as your staff have access to what they need. Like if they don't have a printer, okay, maybe your company goes and invests to make sure that they've got that equipment that they can have at home while they're working at home. But I mean, really, a printer is nothing when you're looking at the rent for downtown Main Street in our community. It goes at easily $4,000 a month, and that's before the $1,000 in utilities. That's before the staff costs. That's before like the overhead for insurance and all that stuff. And I really think that a lot of businesses that have been able to adapt thus far have done so because they're able to kind of brush off those costs that didn't really need to be there. Now, like now that the Zoom option is something that basically everybody knows how to do now. Everybody can kind of look at those options and say, hey, maybe we didn't have to do this the whole time. Maybe we can find even more ways to increase productivity without actually stressing everybody out by making them go into this tiny little workspace and work together. And I mean,
Yeah, no,
And I think it goes back to the adaptability thing we discussed earlier, man. If
Mhm.
companies want to survive in this day and age, they have to adapt because there's no foot traffic right now. There, or I should say, it's a lot less than what most people are used to. So we have to be able to
absolutely
find other ways to get things done. And I think that's where we've been all last year. I think that's going to continue for the most part of this year, if not the whole year, before we start getting into this, sense of normalcy. Or maybe this is our normalcy now. This is just what it is.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the old normal was not a good normal. I'm not saying what we have now is a good normal, but I think there's certain things that have definitely changed for the better.
absolutely. I agree.
I think
Well,
so
guys,
too.
that is all the time we're going to have today for the show. But thank you, Kona, for being on and coming back on here. We'll
Yes.
definitely have you back
Absolutely
on
happy
at a
to be
later
here.
time.
Yeah,
sure.
well, bring me back again. I'd be happy to talk more. I'm sure we could probably talk forever about all the new stuff we watched in the last year.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
definitely.
I've been watching so many things online.
Yeah, right.
And so many old things too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. And guys, it feels good to be back. And once again, please, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Music. We're also on SoundCloud. And then, of course, this episode will be on the DragonBlogger YouTube channel. So please be sure to subscribe to that as well. And thank you guys so much for joining us for our 50th episode. There's going to be plenty more to come this year as we go on. But until next time, we'll see you guys. Take it easy, y'all.
Later, guys.
See ya.
Bye.